Those weren't baby back ribs he was feeding you, Garfield. That was Lyman.
I think that's the perfect way to open this up, don't you think, everyone?
I like that.
I hate all of you. I'm just thinking
We,
Garfield
we, we
joke,
love you.
and
We love you too.
he's seriously gonna put a Garfield
Anyway, with that perfect introduction, I'm Greg, the resident weeaboo.
I'm Adam, and I'm the person that orchestrated this dumpster fire because Randall's too busy playing Frostpunk.
I am Alabaster the Unicorn. I am a resident furry and also a hardcore war game.
I am
And
the Diopsid, and I'm here to tell another story about someone who's complete garbage.
we
Oh,
actually
this,
have a second guest. Does he want to introduce himself, or is he going to sit there awkwardly like a dope?
My name is not important, but if you really want to know, it is I, Biggie. I am the black crippled man who sits in the wheelchair because he is crippled.
No,
I
he's
am.
just a Scooby Doo shit poster.
Oh no.
Well, since you gave that introduction, your name is now officially Hatred.
Pain.
Jeffrey Cuddle Trousers.
But I'm not the main attraction of today. The main attraction is Diopsid Man, aka the man who also believes that Jim Davis is the perfect artist and writer.
But anyway, my a semi-obscure D&D race. What are you here for today?
Well, I'm here to tell everyone a magical tale. A tale of a British man who is full of jealousy, at the same time, a lot of self confidence.
So when you say a magical tale, do we mean like a magical realm level of tale, or I need some clarity?
In some ways, it is basically a magical tale in the way you're definitely thinking of.
Oh,
Let's see, this goes back a ways. I would have to say this is my very first D&D game. I was all right and bushy-tailed and ready to make my first D&D character.
What was your first
Part-
character?
my first character was just a simple paladin of St. Cuthbert. Because I was wholly unoriginal, I named him Cecil after the paladin protagonist of Final Fantasy IV.
that's okay. One of my first characters was a Legolas ripoff, so I'm not.
My first character was a serial killer.
And my first character was a insane cleric that really was just me bullshitting because I couldn't character act to save my life.
Now, it was actually a fairly decent sized party. It was a party of six. There are a lot of stories I could tell about the other players, or at least some of the other players, but the main focus is a man who I shall simply refer to as Osphos. He was a British man that joined in the second session of the game because he was a bit late in hearing that we were running a D&D game.
Wait, did you actually play with Carl of Applebee's?
Um, I think it would have been an improvement.
Smuggle Chuckle would be much better to play with than Osphos from.
Now, this he decided to be a cleric of Haenerys. For those unaware, Haenerys is a lawful good deity who is basically the god of paladins. The only reason why he picked this deity is for simultaneous access to the war domain, and as a result of it, proficiency in the longsword.
Was he going
Wait,
for a Divine Crusader build then?
Not initially.
wait. If he's a paladin, he would already have access to proficiency with the long sword.
Yeah, but he decided to be a cleric of the god of paladins.
Well, it does give him
Ye-
access to the war domain. If you want to play a warrior cleric, it's kind of required.
Meant to be the most paladin-y of paladins.
Yeah, that's the thing. A war cleric, a martial cleric in a game where you already have a martial cleric, it's called a paladin.
Yeah, the problem is that under most circumstances, martial cleric is far more powerful than a paladin in almost every area.
Well, I mean, just
What are you
being able to.
talking? What are you talking about, Diopsid? 3.5 is the most balanced of all of the editions.
Audience, I would like you to keep in mind that state that the cleric is more powerful than the paladin, because it will come up later in this episode.
Yep. Well, the biggest thing I should point out is that because he despised paladins and everything they stood for out of character, that he decided to be neutral good. It was the closest he could be to a chaotic alignment and still being able to get that free longsword proficiency.
Wait, why does he hate paladins? My experience are that they're players who play them. I mean, I can kind of understand never bringing a paladin in a mainly evil group, but usually players who pick them aren't too disruptive. It's usually barbarians or thieves in my experience.
Paladins traditionally have had a bad rap due to believing that they're moral guardians that basically babysit the entire party and force them into their moral.
The classic lawful stupid paladin.
Oh, yeah, okay, so the conduct.
Yeah. Let's. Okay. So yeah. I. The funny thing is, I do understand that. I play one of the problem. I love playing one of the problem child classes, the rogue, mostly because of how versatile the class is.
Oh, they're perfectly good classes. It's just the players who play them are all not always. In fact, it's not often. It's just usually the worst players tend to go for more chaotic alignments, and those tend to favor things like barbarians, rogues, and sorcerers.
What are you talking about? The barbarian is a fundamental and important members of society, and I'm gonna fucking rip your head off. Do anything wrong.
Grok that crush, man. God damn it, Jim. You killed the third fucking NPC on our quest today. So, that's what my character would do.
Damn it! But Divin would totally rob from the party blind. It's in his character. He's a kleptomaniac.
Why did we let the chaotic evil rogue in this group again?
Because he's worse when he's chaotic neutral.
Anyway.
I just wanted to butt in to say that it's what my character would do. Seems to be the Nuremberg defense of D&D.
Oh my god!
Oh god, you just brought Nazis into this.
Of course.
Speaking of the Nuremberg trials, let's get back to talking about bondage.
Crimes.
Okay, so Osphos is playing a cleric, of a very good god that advocates protecting the weak, being the supreme warriors of good.
The way he in character talked about his god, he tried to make it sound like he thought Heinrich was some sort of warmonger because of his domain.
What?
That he basically wanted to be a battle junkie cleric, and then he's obsessed with beating everything up.
Wait,
But
if-
Heinrich is more like early, your Silver and Copper Age Superman, where he'll do things like re-lean the Leaning Tower of Pisa because Lex Luthor straightened it or something. I mean, I
Also-
kind of get that vibe from him, where he's just this lawful good paragon of virtues.
like I always stood in that war meant like, you know what, we're going to do what we can to take the fight to those who would do wrong to others. That's where Heronius was. Like he's really the truly the knight in shining armor archetype is what I get with Heronius.
Just because someone's a warrior god doesn't necessarily mean that they're bloodthirsty lunatics like, say, Ares in the old Greek mythologies.
Yeah, I just point out that those justifications didn't come later on. At first, I really can't say much about him the first few sessions. I guess he was just getting a feel for the game. Other than the fact that he kept saying that he wasn't going to use any healing spells on us. Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Why the
He just
fuck?
wanted healing spells on us.
Why the fuck would you play a cleric if you're not gonna have heal on?
Well, there are certain builds where, yeah, it'd be kind of a dick move to force you into the heal bot role, but in his case, there were many situations where he had nothing to lose expending a slot to quickly heal one of the other party members.
All I know is that if I'm playing, even if I'm playing, I want to one day play a war cleric. Even with that, if somebody's in a bad shape, I'm going to expend spells so I can heal people because that's one of the main fucking uses of a cleric.
My experience is when you play a cleric, you usually still have more than enough leftover spells to heal up, though, so that's really stupid.
They're spontaneous too, so what excuse do you have?
And
He
even if
mostly
you're
only
evil,
used
huh?
he mostly only used the healing on himself.
What a guy.
Whoa.
So a buffer who only buffed himself.
Yeah, he also did that too with actual buff spells.
I'm sure it was very useful to the party.
He sounded like my character Xeraxes, but instead, the other thing is Xeraxes was built more from a custom class that's more built to be a self buffer instead of cleric, where they're more of a they usually have more utility as being a support character.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
thing about that
clerics.
custom class, for those wondering, we call it the Channeler. The idea is you take a Duskblade template and then just give them primarily bolstering spells and abilities that maximize those.
Turn him into an absolute beast on the battlefield as far as a casting mark.
Anyway, we're not here for that. We're here for the Diopsid story.
Yes, we are.
We're here for the cleric that didn't heal.
Yeah. Well, I say the first massive incident would be around level 4. By then, my paladin got access to his first spell. I was actually pretty happy with myself.
Finally
Uh,
being able to not be just a slightly worse fighter.
and we were delving into a dungeon. And this dungeon seemed to be the home of this one Spirit of Darkness. I can't really say it was darkness in the malevolent way, but like the element of darkness.
The malevolent darkness was already in your.
The darkness rises, and it's not in the cave.
Well, at some point in the dungeon, we ran into a bunch of little known monster in D&D called Lumi. They're a lawful neutral outsider that literally worships the light. And due to my paladin diplomacy, I was able to defuse the situation when things were beginning to break out into combat, which most folks did not like too much.
How dare you? How dare you stop me from committing murder? Wait, what's my alignment again?
It's not murder if it's evil. Just remember
No, no,
that.
no. It's not murder if they fought back.
So he's got the war domain.
I'm not even
so it
joking.
makes
That is an actual excuse I once heard from a player to excuse why it was okay for him to brutally murder someone who surrendered. They fought back. They fought. Hey, they fought back.
Yep,
It's not murder if they're not good.
Yep. Well, anyways, these Lumi were here because they wanted to seal away the spirit of darkness because it is diametrically opposed to the literal thing they worship. So, the paladin and most of the rest of the party agreed to work with them for this.
But Osphos didn't he?
No, he really wanted to slay them.
Why?
See, he's got the war domain, so it's all part of the plan. It makes sense.
Do you even know if he had the means to even try to attempt to slay it, though?
I have no clue.
Wait, when you say them, you mean you wanted to just murder these light outsiders for no real reason?
Yeah, pretty much. Especially since he was, at least his supposed in character justification is that we were being racist against the element of darkness or something like that.
What?
Was this some like edgy thing where he's like, "Oh, we gotta go into the darkness because it's cooler than the light," or like what was the logic?
I see a shred of it in the idea that you might want to hear what the other spirit has to say first, but just casually murdering them because that you said he was neutral good, right?
Yeah.
I thought that the neutral. I thought when you play neutral good, you're playing the most diplomatic. You're playing the most diplomatic of the good alliance.
Yeah, I don't think he was much for talking his way out of a scrap.
Just want to roll dice. I just want to make him bleed, make him die.
Anyways, we proceed to travel with the Lumi in the dungeon in order to seal away this dark spirit. It resulted in a pretty long fight. There really wasn't too much action because we were able to basically pin down the spirit before it could really do much to us. We
Was
just had to wait for the Lumi to do a ritual to properly seal it.
was the spirit malevolent in general?
In this case, this was more of a neutral versus neutral type of thing, I believe.
I was just curious. Okay, so you managed to succeed. Neutral v neutral. Most of the party was okay with this, except Osphos. So it's annoying,
Of course.
but unless he does something stupid like try to kill them anyway.
Oh, that's exactly how the happened at the end of the fight. He then immediately tries to kill one of the Lumi by stabbing them in the back, which ended up devolving into a giant fight between various party members to the point that the DM retconned that last part out of existence and ended the session early because it became a huge, massive drama.
Okay, so knowing that almost all of the party was fine with this, I'm gonna backstab and murder him anyway. Also, isn't treacherously stabbing someone behind the back an evil act?
If it would definitely be chaotic, if nothing else.
Because that's some high dishonor stuff. Hieronymus would not be happy with something like that.
It's okay though, because he's got the war dome.
It's okay though, because Hieronymus is just a blood-soaked murder god. Sure he wasn't
Sure.
worshipping corn or something?
I at one point even pointed to him that numerous times that he acted more like. I guess I was a bit nicer and said chaotic good, even though it was closer to chaotic neutral. But he insisted that this is the way Hainrus should work in his eyes.
Oh, oh.
I mean, I know that whole interpreting religions in vastly different ways than they were thing is a thing in our world, but I don't think that really works in D&D, where you can literally like see a physical manifestation of your god, and he just tell you no.
It's what my god would do. I think that's a first. It's what my god would do.
This guy is good aligned, but I think he
Now,
should be
if you're
evil.
wondering why the DM never really did much up to this point, and even to the end of the campaign, it was his first time DMing. I guess he was nervous about trying to
Crack.
argue with any of the players too much.
So his first campaign was with Osphos.
Yeah.
Can we say that? Can we say that
Well,
now?
it wasn't his first D&D game, but it was his first time DMing.
Yeah, I can tell you guys from experience that your first time DMing, you will take a lot of garbage. Case in point, I made a video where I talked about two that guys that were in my first ever campaign. You take a lot of abuse before you realize you don't need that cancer in your life. So after causing a scratch where the universe resets itself, what happens next?
Well, the next session, everyone in the party but him were granted some sort of boon related to the abilities that the Lumi have.
Great way. That's a great way of the DM to punish him.
Oh yeah, like deciding to go against the group and backstab and disrupt it.
I'm sure that went over real well.
Like one day, my paladin could cover his fist in light and do a bunch of damage with his fist. And the other party members got a mixture of their various spell-like and supernatural abilities.
Except Osphos, because he wanted to help the spirit of darkness.
And instead, he stole one of their glowing weapons from their armory.
Was it even any better than his actual sword?
Not particularly.
Well, if I'm not gonna get something, might as well make sure I get something. Also, stealing's an evil act.
I will say it depends on that. I like the idea of if you're, it's a chaotic act because there is someone like Robin Hood where you're stealing not for your own self but for others.
But he
So
stole
there
He's
for
is
not
his own
stealing for the
self.
greater good, he's stealing for the greater himself.
I gotta murder people for the greater good.
I think even the Tao would look at him and go, "What is wrong with this Guela?"
honestly, when I hear the greater good, all I can think of is since he is British, this does fit with Hot Fuzz. The greater good.
Well, anyways, at some point after that, after we began to get a few more levels, also began to act pretty hostile to my character and even me as a player.
Because you corrected him that one time he decided to commit an evil act by backstabbing a dude?
Basically, he felt that because I was the closest thing to frontliner in the party, that I was usually in the face of the action, and usually trying to use diplomacy stuff, that I was the spotlight stealing squad of the party.
That's
And so
actually
he felt,
sad.
and so the best way to deal with that was to basically become paladin, but better.
That's really sad because at least if you kept, disagreeing and arguing with him, there's a minor amount of reason. But no, it's literally how dare this person who's the only marshal in the party actually do his job? How dare he get right in the middle of combat and murder people while I'm just busy buffing myself and refusing to heal others?
So what you're making it sound like is that he was kind of the tabletop equivalent of the ball hog.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
And the thing is, this also went to jealousy to completely unrelated D&D stuff. Starting with around the time of the second session when he joined in, I started dating one of the other players. And he decided, as a result, that he decided to date one of the other players and then ask them to marry them 2 months later.
What?
So
Huh?
so
Just
you just start dating, and he's like, I'm gonna prove I'm even better than you," and he chooses to date someone in the group and marry them in 2 months. Oh wow.
here's a very important question. What was the profession of this person that he married?
Well, first I gotta give a little backstory. This person played the bard in the party. The bard, technically doesn't work by the rules, used exotic dancing to use their bard song abilities.
So they did a shimmy shimmy shanga to cast mend.
Yep,
Uh,
and ironically, that ended up being the player's real profession in real life as a stripper and an escort.
You write what you know, am I right? Yuck. Yuck. Yuck.
So
Anyways,
he, in the span of 2 months, marries a stripper. Where is she from?
she was from somewhere in New England, so he had to literally fly across the ocean. And also, he had to become a vegan.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, that'll show him.
What if
That'll teach.
I'm manlier than you. I just completely bent down to this person I barely know, left everyone I knew and loved back home to fly thousands of miles over, and completely changed my diet just so I could do it. But I'm better than you because I'm married and you're not. What a fucking idiot.
He would constantly refer to her as my hot stripper wife,
Oh,
and in the most
Oh.
bragging way possible.
Sorry, if I could never try to marry or date somebody that had that sort of profession, just because, well, the thought of other men would be on my mind. The thought of other men that she dealt with would be on my mind. So
Yeah, like I
I
mentioned,
don't
she
know
tried
what.
numerous times to get into the escort service.
What a fucking cuck.
What a cool guy you meet.
No, like this, he is by definition a cuck.
No. This guy just oozes masculinity.
I think incel is a better description for him. Like,
The way he's proud of his wife doing escort jobs give me the idea that he actually likes to watch her cheat on him, though. For money.
What a jerk.
Anyway,
Oh god, my brain is destroyed.
yeah. Well, on the game side of things, there started to be an arms race of sorts between me and him because he really badly wanted to be the de facto party leader and the strongest member in the entire party.
Yeah. Uh, I will say that some of the best stories I've read with D&D and some of the best experiences I've had is usually not being the party leader, not even the strongest, but being the. Did he try to be the best character? Because there's a difference between being the most powerful character and being the best character.
What are you talking about, Al? Best character is the most powerful.
By the way, are we about to come up to the PvP?
Sounds like
it's
it.
gonna get there.
Okay.
Well, at some point, he decided to take a specific prestige class that basically made him a better paladin in every way.
I don't have any words to say, but what a complete and utter asshole.
Which prestige class was this, by the way?
The cleric prestige class was made as one for clerics of Hainris or Hextor.
Oh, was it
And
ordained champion?
yes.
Okay.
The big thing is that he would get an alignment-free smite that's field using his turn undeads.
Oh wow.
ooh.
And he would lose his spontaneous curing spell, so we couldn't keep bugging him for heals, to instead spontaneously cast the war domain.
Remember, audience, just keep these details in mind.
So let me guess, he looked it up in a guide.
Oh, he was a fan of looking up all of the best power gaming guides.
I could kind of tell.
I don't know. I'm sure he was a clever guy who came
Ordained
up with all this
champion,
on
the
his own.
moment you said that, the moment you said he also picked war domain, yeah, it's pretty obvious he used a fucking guide. All just to outshine a class he already outshines, because cleric is, I would state, the second best base class in 3.5.
It could be
Sometimes
the
even first.
strongest, but it could be the strong. Depending on, it's debatable, but it's definitely the big. It's one of the it's the Codzilla, part of the Codzilla for a reason.
It really depends on if you count healing, which I usually do, and the ability to join in a melee. Because the cleric can kind of pretty much do anything.
Yep.
So he intentionally goes a paladin route because he's that much of a cuck. Got it. That's all he is now to me. He's a fucking
The
cuck.
weirdest thing, though, is that I still managed to somehow keep up with him, because while he was reading the guides, he didn't actually truly understand them, if you know what I mean.
Are you sure?
So he's not only a power gamer, but he's a bad power gamer.
Are you sure you're not talking about Carl of Applebee's? Because that sounds an awful lot like him.
Oh, it's like Dante and Virgil, but like autistic.
I mean, it's like giving a caveman like a ray gun from the future and expecting him not to get clubbed to death by the guy with the giant stick.
I'm just impressed that he went through all this effort to look through a guide and basically refused to read it all the way through.
But that still wasn't enough.
Yes.
Mhm.
At one point, he decided to challenge me to a duel, and that wasn't canon.
What a neutral good thing to do.
No, it depends. I mean, if you're a neutral good and you're duels, if you're doing duels for the spirit of the duel, but no, this was a piss. This was a pissing match.
This was quite literally a dick waving competition.
Was
We had
there?
to do this on a server where the only people watching were my girlfriend and his wife.
What?
What?
So basically, what you're saying is that
Not even a DM. Wait, not even a
Oh,
DM.
that's fucking pathetic.
there wasn't even a DM. What?
That
Nope.
is the saddest shit I've ever heard in my life.
So,
Okay,
wait, so he was fighting for his He was fighting for Milady's honor or something like that.
He wanted to show off to show how much better he was than me.
Never mind. He's not a cuck. He's an incel. I changed my mind.
He was. Oh, I just thought of the perfect nickname for him, Lord Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad had better standards than. Did you even have an in-character reason to duel?
No, and the only reason why I even agreed to this is because he kept bugging me about it and calling me a chicken when I didn't want to. I was already at a massive disadvantage because I couldn't use my smites, which are my best offensive tool, and a large chunk of my spells he's completely immune to because he's technically neutral good.
So he's such a loser. He had to actually take you on with a superior build because he could smite you, well, you couldn't smite him.
But
Okay.
we need to know the ultimate result of that encounter.
Yeah, did you win? I get the feeling you did, given how stupid this guy seems.
Yes, I won with legitimately 1 HP left.
How do you lose when you picked Ordained Champion and a fucking cleric?
You should be whipping his ass. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, and if you're getting in trouble, just start summoning monsters. You can do that just fucking fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Even
did
if you just
summon
summon,
monsters, but I decided to go straight towards the cleric. I think he was too busy just trying to fight off my magical horse.
oh god.
Add a spiritual weapon. Take advantage if you're with.
No, I can't call up my spiritual weapon because I need this duel to be won for Milady's honor.
I need to do an ultimate one-on-one to show off how cool I am.
Did he chimp out when he
I love
lost?
how you guys are trying to come up with some sort of twisted logic to this, and not just the Occam's razor that he was just a moron.
Well, he's a moron. I'm just trying to think what moron idea oozed into his malformed cranium.
Wait. If he had the war domain, did he even cast? When you were high enough level, did he at least cast the spell that gave him full BAB?
Yes, he did. He also used Righteous Might for extra oomph.
Okay, so there's at least there, but he didn't give himself any ways of just trying to overwhelm you with
You know,
just shit. Overwhelm you with.
the only reason he probably did that was because the guy told him to. He didn't do it on his own.
I don't even think he knows what other spells he has aside from what the guide told him. But did he actually chimp out when he lost?
He was it's only because you have a horse.
I mean, I only summoned monsters and outnumbered you by like 5-2, but it's because you have a horse. I didn't lose because you cheated. You, the paladin, cheated.
It was technically 2 versus 1 because horse.
I'm guessing this might be a paraphrasing, but I'm guessing he said something along the lines of, "If you didn't have that horse and it was just you and me, I would have won."
Pretty much.
But he didn't win, and I like it. It's basically the Virgin Oesphos versus Chad Horse.
Also, he lost that argument the moment he started summoning monsters anyway.
Oh, sorry, didn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things that fucked him. He just started summoning monsters, and the Diopsid just charged ahead and started wailing on him because, fuck those things.
What a masterful tactician.
Now, even as this, there was still an arms race of sorts, but the DM saw that since I was on the losing side of the battle, that he allowed he threw me a few bones that I would still appreciate to this day to help my paladin stay relevant. There were quite a few times where we came up with wishes for the party, and I usually, what few wishes my character was able to get hold of, I used to enhance my paladin abilities in some way. Since he refused to heal people, I pretty much, this isn't exactly what I said, I worded it in an in-character way, but I turned the paladin's lay on hands ability to a multi-target AoE ability.
But at the same time, cleric versus paladin, and the paladin won.
Yeah. And then another time, I was basically granted the law domain as a cleric of my paladin level.
Bet that
Basically,
was really nice to have a 9th level spell.
yeah, summon Monster 9 lawful creatures only. There's even a creature from that list that's exclusive to clerics of St. Cuthbert.
Oh, did you start summon Loomies just to annoy him at all times?
By that point, it probably wouldn't have had much of an effect.
Well, no, it's just the fact that he hates them with his guts for some reason. Actually, how often did he chimp that he wasn't the guy that got all the wishes? Like, how often did he lose his mind because he didn't get all the wishes?
He just, for some reason, just didn't like the idea of not being the one who was the main hero or whatever. Like, my character really wasn't that either. He was just the most consistent frontliner, because I didn't have to take a few turns to buff myself.
Also, it sounded like almost everyone else picked a caster, so literally, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
the rest of the party was druid, bard, ranger, and sorcerer.
Aside
Wow.
from the ranger, no one else would really be martial, and it sounds like that guy picked a longbow sort of build.
He actually used firearms. It was house ruled in, but
Oh, those are pretty ballin'. Those are always fun to homebrew. So, after the PvP and you needing wishes to keep up, what else? What other disgusting things did this loser do?
well, this was getting near the end of where the campaign eventually ended. At one point, we were fighting one of the giant brain leaders of mind flayers
Oh, the Elder
in
Brains?
a high level dungeon. Yeah, and at some point, it used, I believe, mind thrust on his cleric, and he failed to save.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of damage.
And he basically like, oh, lucky me, exactly at 0 hit points. Now I can heal myself on my turn.
Oh, bullshit. Mind Thrust, when
Since
you
he
get
showed
to
me
the
his,
high levels, is disgustingly powerful if you hit it.
yeah, I should point out that I decided to calculate his HP because I saw his character sheet before. I found he had previously taken damage before that from other things, and he was actually around negative 50 HP.
So,
Why lie?
I think somebody's been fudging the numbers.
oh my
No,
god,
no,
by
there's
that
fudging.
much too.
There's fudging the numbers, and there's just blatantly disregarding the numbers.
Yeah, like fudging it by 5 or 10 on the DM's part just to make sure the monster has at least another round or something. That's one thing, but oh yeah, no, I'm totally fine. Dude, you're at negative 58 HP. No, I'm fine. It's exactly 0. Look, I did the math. It's fine.
Well, when I pointed this out to the
that
DM,
just
he actually
reminds.
put his foot down and retconned him to having his heart explode.
Just his heart. He should have gone
Yeah.
out like scanners, like his head just explodes in a
I
wave
just,
of
I
gore.
just realized something. With how bad this guy was, could he really have a heart, or was it just a shriveled up raisin? It sounds like that.
It is a rotten pit of a peach.
Yeah, his character died, but he was brought back by our druid's reincarnation.
As what?
This is not the first time he was brought back with reincarnation. He was previously turned into a half orc, which I should point out that due to the rules of reincarnation, he basically kept his human bonus feat but got +2 strength with no mental penalties.
Did he ever bitch about being like reincarnated as something dumb, like a catfolk?
Due to sheer luck, when he got reincarnated the second time, he was still a half orc.
Or was it DM fiat?
It was more like he originally rolled. He's like, man, I sure hope I don't become let's use the certain type of word to describe elves, and then
Oh.
he
Oh,
rolled
that-
elf, and so he
What a
had.
lovely guy.
Okay, my question is: did he go with the fairy route, or did he go the more of the homosexual slur route, or did he go for a racial slur route?
More of the homosexual route.
Oh God.
And basically due to him whining so loudly, he was allowed to use alter fortune on this, even though he was technically dead.
Wait, so he got elf and oh wow, that's really fucking pathetic.
Because it meant he would get -2 con, which would hurt him in his punching routine.
I don't want to be one of the
And also technically
homosexuals.
-2 strength, since he was previously a half orc.
I'm gonna lose an extra point of damage because I'm using a single-handed weapon.
Yeah.
What's this? What do you mean? What do you mean I can't fudge my dice rolls anymore to make myself stronger? What?
I do though like the idea of if it was an actual good character, the idea of a character that got reincarnated many times, and he was I've lived many lives as many different things.
But you see, this was not a good character from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the idea he's more evil.
Yeah. Speaking of which, at one point out of character, he was trying to figure out a way to get my character to fall.
Why?
Why? Yeah.
What is with people's obsession with getting paladins to fall?
The reason why is because he thought then I could take a Grey Guard, which by the way is a prestige class that technically can't be taken by fallen paladins.
Oh, you're technically good as a Grey Guard. I put that in the
Yeah.
biggest air quotes
He
possible.
basically said he didn't want me to be as much of a stick in the mud. He wanted to be able to, I don't know, kill commoners without me worrying, or something like that.
It's the only way that a paladin, not wanting a paladin in the party, makes sense. Seriously though, why not like Bone Knight, which is actually good?
Well, yeah, at the same time, it wouldn't have made much sense for my paladin to go that way. I liked him just being a simple paladin of St. Cuthbert.
Yeah, which is
And
fine.
he wanted to warp my character into something different because he wanted to do whatever he wanted to.
I'm
And on top of that,
Neutral
Grey Guard
good.
would also severely hamper my casting abilities, which were very important for me.
Neutral
Yeah,
good.
you're
Why
saying-
would you care about that shit?
Like I said, you're really at neutral good. I mean, you're usually the diplomatic. It's either you're diplomatic or and you need to make sure to be the mediator between the two goods, or it's like you don't really care about that, and I'm more care about doing good things.
I care about helping others. If the government is just, I will work with them. If it is not, I will work against it.
At the very least, he didn't ask you to go black card.
Oh, I can totally see him do that, just like as a way to try to sabotage you.
I
And
should
then he
point
just
out that
spontaneously makes his character chaotic evil, and then whine at the DM to keep all of his spells.
I should also point out a small thing is that often his wife would flake a lot for the games,
I
and
wonder
he
what
would
she
usually
was.
take them over.
I wonder if he was listening to her work with clients and was happy that he got to listen in.
Oh, by the way, what was he doing when he had control of her character?
Knowing him, he probably
would
took control over to
often
dick
do
over
things
others.
like have his character make out with his stripper bard wife.
Ew.
God damn it!
Ew.
What a cool guy. He's such a Chad
A
man.
champ.
What is
Wait, so
so I kind of paused there. So while she was gone, he would do stuff with her character without her consent.
I can't
Yeah,
do it in
I should
real
also
life,
point
so
out
I'll
that
do
he
it
pretty
in.
much used the bard as a free buffer for himself only.
was this while he was in the States too, which makes it even sadder?
Yes.
So he can't kiss his own fucking wife in public. He has to wait until she's gone.
So what you're saying?
Lord.
So wait, the cleric needed his own fucking pocket mage. What logic is that?
What?
Oh,
How fucking pathetic is that?
and fornicating with a bard is such a neutral good cleric thing to do, by the way.
Taking
Not only
control over her and mind controlling her into servicing me is such a good thing.
speaking of mind control, he actually used
Oh,
his
you gotta be shitting me.
control of his wife in order to try to get back at me for pointing out to the DM that he was fudging his HP in that incident with the Elder Brain.
Really?
He immediately had her in character cast Irresistible Dance on my paladin
What an asshole.
In the middle of a fight
in
to
the
the
middle
death.
of the fight. Yeah.
Swap.
Luckily, at this point, I actually had access to a Holy Avenger and thus had spell resistance. The only thing that can stop the spell, and it stopped it.
I mean, you've heard of it's what my character would do, but have you heard of it's what their character would do?
What kind of asshole tries to deliberately sabotage somebody in the middle of a fucking fight that could lead with everyone TPK?
You never
Ospos.
disrespect. Ospos. You never disrespect me or my wife's character ever again.
Oh no.
This is a man who's proud of his fucking wife nailing other dudes while he's not there to watch.
Well, I mean, if you can't do it in real life, then just do it in game.
He's such a loser, he couldn't even fucking kiss her in meat space. He has to wait until she's gone so that he can mouth rape her character via proxy.
That sounds disturbing. That is very disturbing.
That's the saddest shit.
What an alpha male.
I don't know, like if you put in the dictionary a picture that represents the word cuck or incel, Osfo should be a synonym of it. What a fucking loser. Actually, if he did something that petty, I bet you he probably tried to mind control characters to do what he wants to.
That was one of his plans for trying to make my paladin to fall.
Even though a paladin who's not under their own will shouldn't fall.
Yeah.
He basically wanted his wife's bard to do suggestion on my paladin to make him do something to break his paladin code, and then force him to, I don't know, take levels in fighter or become a blackguard or anything that stopped him from doing whatever he wanted to, despite being neutral good.
I'm a neutral. I represent the good in society. Now hand over that children so I can punt it like a football into that meat grinder.
The greater good. It's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good. We gotta get rid of that paladin so I can continue to wear children's skin as my jacket.
Question: Did he come from that one village in Hot Fuzz, like to where the greater good meant just murdering the undesirables in your?
Given how he describes Hieronymus, that sounds like that's what my character would do.
The greater good.
Murdering that convent of nuns dedicated to Palor. It's what Hieronymus would want.
Your competition.
Marmalizing all of these orc children. It's what Hieronymus wants.
Just because you're good doesn't mean that you can't do bad things every now and then.
Field goal kick a pregnant orc so that it aborts. That's what Hieronymus wants. It's gonna just give birth to evil. It's what my character's god would do.
Oh my god!
I'm the good guy here.
It's what my wife's character would do. She would randomly mind control you in the middle of a fight to the death.
Well, like all things, the campaign eventually came to an end, mostly due to people losing interest in the huge mess.
Was it because Osphos is an asshole?
Pretty much.
That sucks. Just when one campaign's brought down, not by, sadly, sometimes the DM just can't do it or anything like that.
Wait, was that your level 1 to 19 game too?
Yeah, And I should point out, this
Oh.
wasn't the end. A new campaign was going to arise from its ashes.
This was only the beginning.
So he nuked a game right before you could hit epic levels.
I should point out that it was getting pretty interesting. All of us, by that point, my paladin had not gotten hold of one, but technically two artifacts of St. Cuthbert, the Tabard of the Great Crusade, and he was going to be allowed by the leader of his church to borrow Cuthbert's mace for the final battle.
Oh,
That is, I don't know what to say. That's just.
I mean, if it went epic, I mean, it could have ended with your character going something, getting sainthood or something like getting sainthood with Saint Cuthbert.
That would have been baller, but no, Osphos had to mind control you because you made fun of, you highlighted that he died.
It could have also ended with Osphos paying atonement for his sin.
I hope he
That
gets
never
punched in
happened.
the face by a fucking brick shithouse and dies.
Wait, in character or out of character?
Yes.
Well, the thing is, this campaign also was also joining in.
Oh,
Now,
God.
freed from what he considered the constraints of playing with a paladin in the party, he decided the best route was to go rogue.
Of fucking course he'd go with that. Of fucking course.
I laughs at me, laughs in Rogue.
Laughs and thieves can't.
What alignment was he this time around?
Probably chaotic evil, knowing this shithole
No,
of a human.
chaotic neutral, the worst kind of chaotic neutral.
Oh! To quote Data, this is revolting.
You know, like I said,
I want
one
more.
of my
Is it more?
yeah, I played a rogue before that was neutral, and I think I played Hans very well. But I'm about to probably hear some terrible ass rogue stuff, which makes me very sad.
I hope the Christ he's a Kender rogue just to add extra salt to the wound.
Close, he was a telepathic halfling. He found
oh God!
your
Oh,
halfling variant that had
No, stop
telepathy.
it! Stop it! That's actually making me. That's burning my insides.
I think I just got ventricular fibrillation just hearing that.
At least it's not a Kinder. It's not a Kinder.
No, it's about as bad.
No, it's no Kinder.
It's about as bad.
For whatever reason, he
Could
heavily
you
spec'd
all
himself.
really imagine Bilbo Baggins, but if he had Professor X's powers?
That's so stupid. I kind of like it.
I'm just now envisioning him just like using his mind powers against Smaug. Does the Hobbit mind trick? I did not steal this cup. You did not steal my cup.
There's more to come.
Yeah, he was oddly spec'd towards flaming stones, like halflings tend to do.
Okay, the idea. Okay, in of itself, the idea of building a slinger rogue build that could be somewhat interesting, depending on how.
That's how I did. That's how I made my neutral evil rogue Thakur. He used the sling and the dagger as his main weapons.
Well, because he was using the guide, he was able to do 3d6 damage at level 1.
Oh, because that's totally accurate and fair.
That's okay. Whenever I played, to be fair, when I was playing my Boris, my psychic rogue half giant, I was able to do 46 damage with building a great sword wielding rogue.
Yeah, but compared to the rest of the party, he was heavily outdamaging everyone else.
I'm sure he didn't look at any cards this time around. I'm sure.
I bet you, like, if you type in rogue build, it's like one of the first results.
Actually, I'm gonna do
that. For some reason, he always wanted to be the strongest person in the party.
Do you think he thinks that strength equals strength of character? Like that's the level of understanding he has of roleplay?
I don't think even most barbarian players believe that.
Nah, it's pretty obvious this loser just wants to be the best and rub it in everyone's face. What a and yet he's such a loser, he actually is proud of the fact that his wife regularly cheated on him.
How long ago was this, by the way? Just like not an actual year, but like a rough.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. It's all just a huge blur, but it was quite a long time ago.
I'm looking up rogue builds to see if I can find something like that.
Well, anyways, I remember one incident where he tried to use his telepathy in order to trick a shopkeeper to give him money.
What an asshole.
I had to find out by I am God. Give the halfling money or something like that.
Oh, that's stupid.
It
Remember,
wasn't very creative.
whenever I was playing a charlatan rogue in a one shot. I played a charlatan wizard, and the way he didn't Al did not beg for money, but he would try to trick people that he was a lesser nobility into trying to get discounts, like saying that he would use his family to give him a good word for further business. I think that's a bit more creative.
Yeah, it's also a little bit more understanding if you want to play the huckster. Just, I know how the system mechanic works, so do what I say is the lamest way to have a power work.
The way he wanted to play a drug, he wanted to be the type of rogue that is the one that gets a hold of the treasure and then secretly gives himself a bigger share than everyone else.
What a dick.
Yeah, dick ass thief.
Like I said, that's no. Whenever I play them, it's like, at the end of the day, it's also in character. Think about it. If I try to hide items and then someone finds out, people could try to fucking kill me for pulling that kind of dick assery. So it's
One of
not
the
the best.
quickest ways a dick ass rogue dies is they try to do something like steal from the party and then they get mulched by, say, the not too enthused barbarian or get nuked by the wizard who.
That's actually kind of what happened. My character in that campaign was at the time a psychic warrior.
Oh god, wait, was he a brick shithouse?
Yes, he was a big,
Oh,
old-timey strong man.
my dream came true. This Weasley British cuck is about to get his face
So
destroyed.
you had a David and Goliath situation.
Yeah, one time he tried
Yes.
to steal from one of the other party members, and I caught him thanks to my high wisdom due to being a wisdom-based character. And my answer to that was to punch his halfling in the face.
Yeah, but also we'll go with that metaphor used earlier. Remember, we're supposed to root for David. Here we're rooting for Goliath.
I hope Goliath just proceeds to chuck him off a fucking bridge.
Well, what proceeded to happen is that we had to enter this one house because we were in the middle of investigating a mystery when he decided to have a case of the sticky fig.
Okay, I'm in the middle of a dangerous environment, potentially might get ambushed by people that, might not want us to investigate. You know what would be a great idea at this point? Actively fuck over the party.
Okay, well, I could understand if this character had sticky fingers and they were trying to steal stuff. What would be interesting is if he was the type of rogue that would try to steal the rings off of the enemy wizard hand or something like that while he wasn't looking to try to actively disarm him that way.
Or he's just like looting the fucking house they're in investigating. Like, yeah, he's investigating, but hey, that chandelier looks nice. I might be able to fence it for 50 gold. Oh look, a candlestick. That might be real silver. Maybe I can melt it down and make some forged silver pieces.
I could be wrong, but the build you might have been copying is something that I've found is called the halfling herd. I could be wrong, but that might have been what he was going. I linked it.
Is it a 3.0 or 3.5 build?
3.5. I don't want to hijack the thing, but this might be, though I could be wrong.
I was just wondering because given how much of a loser and asshole this guy is, he sounds like the type of person that would use fake rules to make sure that he got the best example.
Yep. I didn't mean to hijack anything. I
No,
just
it's fine. It's informative, and I'll actually link it for those curious to see what this charlatan of a man decided to
once
rip off.
once again I could be wrong, but that might very well be it.
So
But anyways,
when Mustachio punched Osphos in the face, how hard was it?
It like shaved off a large majority of his health. He was still alive because it was just a normal, untrained, unarmed strike.
Was it as hard as when I
But
got?
there's also 18 strength behind said strike.
Was
I'm
it as
both
hard?
happy and sad that he didn't die instantly.
Yep, I had to point out. He then proceeded to remove me from any sort of external contact out of anger.
Just because you punched him. You punched him
That's-
online. Go away now, forever.
But it isn't quite over yet. While the rest of us were traveling in the basement, instead of asking anyone in the party to heal him, he decided to sulk outside of the building while we were investigating. He got to be in a fight, which got him really angry because he wanted to join the fight too and show how cool he was.
To quote Patton Oswalt, he missed everything cool and died angry.
And anyways, on the way back up, we had to go up this rickety rope that wasn't very good. When it was my character's turn to climb up it, his halfling quickly pulled the rope away,
Oh, that's
and
just pathetic.
trying to trap me down
Swamp
there.
mark.
And at this point, the rest of the party turned on him.
I hope they shoved him off the fucking building to his death.
Oh, it was only enough sessions too late.
No, you see, it's what my character would do. I'm chaotic neutral. Don't do that.
I'm okay. I as a statement want to say that any character who ever says that should have those words put on their fucking gravestone.
Like they just stop existing. No, that's too nice to. They just immediately stop existing. As soon as you say it's what my character would do, I just mute. You just mute them and then go. Anyway, that character doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the session ended shortly after that. After the rest of the party basically threatened him to put the rope back down so my character could get back up.
Oh, you didn't throw him off the building to his death. That would have been more
No,
satisfying.
but then he quit the game.
Good.
He felt he was being singled out.
Did
I wonder
Me.
why.
the DM do anything with his character after he left?
He just sort of disappeared into the aether.
I hope he got eaten by a purple worm when no one was looking. Just like while no one's looking, a purple worm just pops out from the ground, eats him, burrows back in. Where'd that rogue go? Where's this Hulk lead to? Eh, who cares?
Anyways, since he removed me from everything, I never heard from him again, or anyone else. No one else in the group really did either.
I'm sure you missed him dearly, and still do to this day.
No.
Do you think he's dead? No, serious
Hmm.
question. Do you think he's dead?
Oh, like he caught something from his wife.
Oh no, I don't think he slept with her ever in his entire fucking life.
He cost syphilipagus.
No,
He
what
might
I'm
have.
trying to say is, did he die in a dumpster in the fucking cold of like Boston during the winter because his wife kicked him out?
We can only speculate at this point. All I'm gonna say is that he was personally the most infuriating person I've ever played D&D with, mostly because I seem to be the main target of his animosity.
Even more than the Scaly who decided to do embarrassing things like challenge you to a Pokemon tournament.
Well, I get to beat his ass in that area, so that's all good.
What is it with you that people seem to be attracted to try to get into dick measuring contest with you?
I have no idea. Is it because I'm the power gamer of the group or something?
See, he's the head honcho of the group. He's the strongest. If I overthrow him, I will assert my dominance and become the alpha male of the pack.
The alpha male of a bunch of dudes who just hang around and pretend they're other people for like 2 to 5 hours of their day.
Yes. I must assert my dominance.
I'm the king of shit mountain. Look at me.
Look at my. It's an empire of dirt. Just remember, in his mind, an empire of dirt. It may be an empire of dirt, but it's an empire nonetheless.
Yes.
I'm really thinking he's either dead or just miserable in a one-room apartment because he got divorced because he married someone 2 months after he met her.
If he's not dead physically, he's definitely dead on the inside.
Well, he's already been dead from the neck up, just from the way he acted, so.
Yeah, in my instance, the girl that was my girlfriend back then is now my fiance. So, all's well that ends well.
Wonder how he's gonna try to outdo that.
Maybe we should re-invite him on.
No.
Fuck no. I don't even know him, no.
I've got it. He tries to set up a polygamous cult in Utah.
Wait a minute.
I'm the real winner here.
Whenever you have your wedding, some random guy will just randomly show up, and then you ask him what his, and he says, Osphos.
Randall, you're implying that someone other than a vegan stripper would want to be with him.
I'm just thinking, like, imagine the People's Temple, but instead of them, committing mass suicide, it's just one loser in a shack in Utah as the ATF ignores them.
It's just me and all of my real dolls.
Oh,
My stripper wife left me, so I got a collection of real dolls in my shack. I play D&D with them where I'm the best.
He has arguments with them.
If you listen to this, you limey fuck, man, feel free to tell us how your life collapsed down the toilet, because you are a cunt and we will not game with you.
If you're listening to this, you are now my role model, and I want to be just like you.
Oh God, no.
It looks like we have somebody.
We even joke about that. But let's just say atomization is too kind for what's going to happen.
Also, if you're out there, I just got one thing to say. Like I gave a message to Shane, only that yours is fuck you.
Shane was a cool guy. Osphos isn't.
One had a tendency to fuck up, another one was just a fuck up.
And that is the tale of how a limey Brit immigrated to the United States to get cucked by a stripper wife and completely lose any chance of having any form of social contact and activity with other humans.
All because I wanted to beat someone online in a game.
All because I wanted to murder children as the neutral good warrior of justice, were it not for this paladin who forced me to act like a normal human being.
I'm sure you impressed everyone when you won. Wait, no, you didn't win.
He didn't win. Even with picking a prestige class that is broken as shit, he didn't win. Because Ordained Champion is one of those amazing prestige classes, given that the role you want to be in, it's really strong.
So do we have any final words for the deceased?
I gotta say, if you ever play with someone who gets jealous easily, especially if you are the target of said jealousy, it'd be better to just leave. Because no gaming is better than bad gaming.
And for those DMs out there, like what the Diopsid's DM did and what I myself learned, if this person is actively affecting the rest of the group and no one seems to like them, it's fine to kick them.
Had any final words? I was going to say I've been enjoying this story time far more than torturing ourselves reading those horrible books, but we're going back to them anyway soon enough.
What? You don't want to learn more about flower dick post-apocalyptic mutants?
I know you do, but
Well, on the bright side, at least we're actually getting into mechanics 1/3 of the way through the fucking book. Hey, that's still
Oh.
better than Sigmata.
Rewatch those old videos.
I mean, to be fair, I'm on this now, and I didn't even watch them.
Oof.
I'm sorry.
No,
You were there. You were
I
there.
recommend
Hey,
you
hey,
start
you were
off. I recommend you start off with the episode 6, where I completely fuck up the editing for it.
Oh no. I mean, I'm watching the new ones, but I'm not watching the sick model.
That's the best endorsement we've gotten so far. I'm not watching the old ones.
watching the new one.
But anyways, I think now is time to end it all.
In a mass suicide later, everyone.
Get those firearms ready, boys. Bang. Bang.